Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Viridian Gate Online, Schism, by E.C. Godhand and James A. Hunter, narrated by Eunice Wong. A New Dawn Elf. 24 hours until Estrella. I confess I'm not a righteous woman. I'm not a holy woman, no matter what they may tell you. But I know this. When God shuts a door, she opens a window so she can throw you out of it. That's what it means to take a leap of faith. At least, if the last few days were any indication, that was true. I went from my freezing, failing Manhattan hospital frying pan right into the hellfire of Viridian Gate Online. Gaia, the goddess of life, weather, and luck, took me in and offered me shelter and purpose. She shared the smallest bit of her power with me. I foolishly thought maybe the existence of a higher power would make the world less cold and cruel. Instead, I found myself in a pit of vipers, exploiting healers for profit. I prayed to her now, in the quiet peace of the morning. She called me to stop a deadly plague, the curse of Surthrog, from being spread by fallen priests called Darklings. She taught me we had to make the world better ourselves. Stopping the plague, though, cost our friend Hector's life. A cursed blade sent him to Morsheim, the land of the dead. He was a priest like me, and belonged to my temple, the Novus Ordo Seclorum. In his memory, I touched the divine spark, a scar in the shape of the sun, that burned on my chest. Ability: Divine Spark. Ability type: Level. Passive: Level 7. Cost: None. Effect: Wholly unlocked. All light-based skill stats are increased by 3% per Divine Spark level. Current: 21%. Keon, the leader of the Darklings, took in priests who failed Exarch Jericho's tests or were tired of his cult, the Temple of Areste. Supposedly she was the aspect of salvation, though no one would tell me what god she represented. Priests, healers of any sort, were already low in number. To join the temple, the Exarch asked them to drink poison to prove their healing abilities, including me. Many were my fellow co-workers back at St. Mercy's on Earth. Now, there weren't a lot left. Heromancers, like me, were a priest class built to balance healing, damage mitigation, and DPS. We were the gods' strike team to make things right. Law. Anyone may choose their aspect and serve in a temple as they see fit, but only the priest is personally called by the light to minister to the people of Falas Alfera directly. Like the Holy Templars who serve as protectors and enforcers of justice, the priests serve as protectors of life and enforcers of their aspect's will. They tend to the needs of the faithful through magical light that may heal, punish, or bolster their companions through buffs. When a heart cries out for succor, the old gods answer by sending a priest. When hope is lost, the priest restores faith. When there seems no way out, the priest's light guides them. When death stands in wait to claim a soul, the priest bids the wounded to rise and fight again, with but a word. Gameplay. The priest class is available to all who seek justice and love mercy. Therefore, it is available to any race, as the old gods welcome new followers in this new land, though players may choose a race-specific specialization to honor the faith of their ancestors. Players seeking a specialization must be ordained into a temple to be recognized as a member of the congregation and to receive the associated reputation buffs. If selected, there are 5 class kit specializations, though only one can be unlocked at a time: Theologian, Spiritualist, Heromancer, Evangelist, and the Hvitalfarian specific Anitaila, or Sunsetter. Becoming a priest as a Hvitalfar instantly grants the player a light alignment, which is not the same thing as a good alignment. Possessing a light alignment does, however, lower the player's relationship with all non-Viridian aligned factions to unfriendly. In return, priests receive a 10% damage reduction by dark-aligned players and NPCs. They may serve an aspect directly as their patron deity and gain access to their aspect's skill tree as they rank up within the temple. Aspects each have their own unique skills pertaining to the trait they are known for, but choose wisely. If rebuked or excommunicated by the aspect's temple, the skill tree becomes blocked for 7 in-game years, or until the player seeks penance through a redemption quest. One small benefit to joining the Temple of Areste, though, was it offered 2 daily orisons, or prayers, to disciples by sharing a faction-wide resource, faith. I pulled up the ability tree. The table was shaped like an infinity symbol on its side, the double Ouroboros that was Areste's symbol. Light was a cantrip available to acolytes that essentially could be used as a free flashlight. Bless, a Tier 2 spell, offered 10% bonus to holy spell power for 10 minutes, while Divine Aid promised 1 free use of any spell with no spirit cost. I took the cantrip. I wasn't sure where I'd use it, what with the sun shining through the Sophician temple window, but it was new and shiny. Eventually my temple would come for me, and the holy artifact I stole from Kion. But not today. Today we were holding a pancake breakfast to celebrate our victory. I finished my prayers before the small statue of Gaia my friends had gifted me. For once, I wasn't hungover, though 3 hours of sleep wasn't enough to spare me from the tired debuff. Protect us with your light. Allow us to flourish by channeling your blessings. Transform love into hope, hope into will, and will into actions. I felt a gloved hand touch my shoulder and heard Corvus's metallic voice echo in the empty chamber. "Ready to go, Liset the Blessed?" said the plague doctor. I glanced up and quickly blessed myself. Yeah, I'm starving. Aesop's Tables was a quaint little cafe near Stonemount, the Rowanheath keep. I didn't notice it at first, compared to the high-walled stone fortress carved into the mountains that protected Rowanheath on 2 sides. The keep looked like it could withstand a siege. I felt safe in the heart of the woad city. The cafe itself reminded me of a charming French bistro. Whitewashed walls artfully flaked their plaster, and purple plumes of wisteria framed a welcoming teal door. Patrons laughed and enjoyed their meals on a patio filled with potted flowers and ivy vines that provided shade on wooden pergolas. The smell of fresh baked bread and spiced apple pies wafted through the door. Corvus and I sought out our team. I wanted to see Inquisitor Kismet most of all, and one could hardly miss an accipiter with wings and 1 golden eye in a crowd of the Germanic woads. Yvonne, dressed like a bohemian woman at a music festival, blended in a bit better, except for the tiny sparrow, Lucky, that nested in her mess of hair. Windows let in warm, natural light that illuminated my team in the corner. Corvus and I waved, and they waved back. The plague still infected their arms with creeping black vines. I quickened my step, but the hostess, a brunette woad wearing a clean white apron and carrying a notepad, stepped in our path. "Sister, we are humbled you grace us with your presence," she said, her smile too wide for her face. It fell into confusion when she looked at Corvus, with their white beak mask and black leather armor. She forced it back when she looked back at me. "I heard what you did for those people out west in Ankara. I cannot thank you enough." "It was nothing, really," I said, uncomfortable with the praise. I tried to step around her, but she placed herself in front of me again. How could you say saving lives is nothing? My mother lives because of you." I paused. She stared in earnest and refused to move. "I'm glad. You're right, that's not nothing. But I just saw 2 others, my friends who have the plague, and I'd like to cure them too," I said, pointing to the rest of the A-men. "Oh, right," she said, finally stepping aside. Yvonne stood up, her chair screeching across the wooden floor, and held out her arms for me. "Did the Inquisition get their tests?" I asked, holding up my glowing hand. Yes, she murmured. "Get in here already." I hugged her and cast Veracity, the forbidden spell that cured the plague. She laughed and inspected her arm with wonder. "Damn, that really works, doesn't it?" she pondered aloud. Kismet didn't have to stand to be intimidating. The Inquisitor's armor and height did that. "You're late," she said, though her wine-colored lips hid a smile. "We ordered for you. It should be here shortly." "Did you get Corvus their sprinkles?" I asked, taking a seat across from her, while Corvus sat across from Yvonne. "I wasn't entirely sure what those were," said Kismet, pouring me a cup of Western brew. Unlike Corvus, Yvonne, and me, Kismet wasn't a traveler from Earth, but a native to VGO, a computer-generated character with as much intelligence and feelings as the rest of us. Hector had been too. He was Corvus's NPC. Each traveler had one, a native chosen to help us adjust to the game. A God-sent companion. He should have been here with us. Kismet held out the cup of coffee, which I took gratefully with 2 hands. Her olive-skinned cheeks blushed as my fingers brushed across hers. I held my hands there longer, watching her squirm. I grinned and cast Veracity to cleanse her of the plague as well. The black veins in her hand dissolved into the air with a flourish of light. The Inquisitor inspected her hand and whistled. The waitress brought our food shortly. Golden waffles topped with syrup and various red fruits and artful designs for Kismet, sunshine peach jam and thick clotted cream on scones for Yvonne, and for Corvus, old-fashioned hotcakes with edible flowers instead of sprinkles. I couldn't see their expression under their plague mask, but I felt their heavy disappointment next to me. I patted their shoulder, dreaming of the crispy bacon and roasted potatoes I wanted to eat. "Hey, it's all right," I reassured them. "The food will still taste good. The waitress set a Hvitalfar summer salad in front of me. Various leafy greens with berries, honeyed nuts, and crumbled white cheese, all mixed with a tart vinaigrette, with a buttered crust of bread on the side. "What the hell is this?" I asked. The waitress clutched the wooden tray to her chest. "House specialty, sister." I looked between the 2 culprits behind this insult, Yvonne and Kismet. "Who orders a salad for breakfast?" Yvonne was already stuffing her cheeks with scones like a chipmunk. I couldn't make out what she said exactly, but it wasn't complimentary to my timeliness. "I haven't even said the blessing yet," I scolded. Yvonne swallowed hard and washed it down with a chug of coffee. "Ha! We'd be better off letting Corvus say the prayers if we want them to make it past the ceiling." Corvus stared forlornly at their pancakes. "Do you want me to say the—" "No," we all intoned. I stared longingly at Corvus's pancakes as my stomach rumbled from the hunger debuff. They swatted my hand away when I tried to sneak a piece. The waitress came back to pour water. She eyed my salad untouched and offered a cheerful smile. "It's a little late in the season for a summer salad, but it's a Hvitalfarian dish with a woad twist. The rowan berries are fresh from Ravenkirk, the cheese is from local sheep, and the nuts can only be harvested from the Whispering Grove outside the Tanglewood. Please, try it." I'm a grown woman, but I still felt myself wince as I lifted the fork to my lips. A burst of flavors competed for attention. Salty cheese, sweet berries, savory nuts, and a tangy, almost citrusy dressing complemented the delicate leaves. For a salad, it was absolutely amazing. I saw the food in a new light. The wooden bowl now had enough to feed 3 people, me, myself, and I. The waitress giggled. "I knew you'd like it. Chef says when you have good ingredients, you don't have to do much with them." "Thank you," I said, looking her in the eye. "You were right. This is delicious." Yvonne caught the waitress's attention and ordered what sounded like a Bloody Mary. "You're drinking?" I asked. My in-game clock said it was 7:30 a.m. "After yesterday, you're not?" she scoffed. "Liset here could personally keep a winery in business," mumbled Kismet behind her cup of coffee. I ordered a melon patch myself and tried the hot coffee. Delightfully bitter, but with a hint of toffee taste. The coffee made the ache in my muscles melt away. I chuckled and set the mug down, letting the residual heat warm my hands. The morning was sunny, but chilly. "You know, back in our old world, we have a story about 2 kings who brought peace to all," I said. Yvonne exchanged a look with Corvus as she stole my crust of bread. "We did?" "Well, of course we did." I saluted with the coffee. "Smoking and drinking." Yvonne sighed loudly and pinched the bridge of her nose. I caught Kismet smiling at the joke behind her mug. Corvus slipped a pancake onto my plate. "Your habitual intemperance may be a concern one day, sister," they said. I devoured the pancake like I didn't hear them. We distributed the loot from our last excursion. I pulled the items from my inventory, a new shield for Kismet and a new deck of cards for Yvonne. Corvus showed off their new thurible, which used incense smoke to give buffs or debuffs on the battlefield. I showed off my new golden bangles. "Are those shackles of faith?" asked Yvonne, showing off her own matching bangles. I inspected her using Acuity, which let me gain insight into other players' status effects, and saw she had the same accessory Gaia had gifted to me for completing the quest. "Shackles of Faith. Armor type, light. Class, rare. Base defense, 5. Primary effects. Returns a small portion of health to the wearer when casting spells that use spirit. Let the prayers of your soul unto the light renew your body." We talked as we ate. Suffering divided humanity, but mitigating suffering united us, and whether that was with good friends or good food, it was a lovely breakfast. That is, until Yvonne brought up Exarch Jericho. "After the events at the Black Temple and Keon's confession, the Inquisition is considering an audit of the Temple's policy of charging 40 gold to cure each level of the plague," she said. Kismet stomped on Yvonne's foot. "Perhaps we shouldn't discuss Inquisition matters in the open," she hissed. I wholeheartedly approved of changing the subject. The bastard had put a hit out on me and had Osmark Technologies cleaners drag me out of the capsule early to make sure I couldn't play. The dislike was mutual. "You know what's more fun to spread than a plague?" I asked between mouthfuls. "Kindness?" offered Kismet, willing to play along. "Legs?" suggested Yvonne. Kismet spit out her coffee. "Wild accusations," said Corvus. "If Hector were here," they added after a pause, "he'd say, 'The good news of Areste.'" "No! Jam!" I said, stealing a scone off Yvonne's plate and spreading the sunshine peach jam and taking a bite. It tasted heavenly. "We should talk about Jericho, though," protested Yvonne, stealing the rest of the scone out of my hand and shoving it into her mouth. "Turns out he's trying to maximize his profits with his pay-to-live situation." Kismet sighed heavily. "Oh, Gaia, there's 2 of them." "You know he won't stop coming after you until you turn in that orb of anti-shade, don't you, Lisette?" said Yvonne, staring at me. The quest object burned a hole in my inventory. I knew she was right. I also knew that I didn't want to deal with that right now. If I do, he'll have me excommunicated for Hector dying, I protested back. There was nothing you could do to stop that, consoled Kismet. And if you don't, said Yvonne, he'll have you excommunicated for stealing a holy artifact. The waitress brought our drinks. I downed the green liquor in one long chug. Yvonne opened her mouth to speak, but I held up a finger to silence her as I kept drinking. Yvonne pounded the table and raised her voice. Lisette, you could lose your class if you don't deal with this. I ignored her and turned to Corvus. How are you holding up? I'm okay. I just have something in my eyes, is all. Mostly tears, said Corvus. The liquor hit me like a knock on the head, but I didn't feel like jumping out the window at the mention of Jericho anymore. Yvonne rolled her eyes. I wasn't off the hook so easily. Come on, Priestess. Aren't you going to cheer them up? Got any words for the grieving? I ordered another drink. Corvus is allowed to be sad without my permission. Grief is a holy expression of having loved. Thank you, said Corvus in their echoing monotone. I will continue to be miserable. Yvonne sipped her cocktail and narrowed her eyes at me. Didn't she know them well enough to know that wasn't sarcasm? Fine, geez. I leaned against Corvus, drunk. Hey, psst, want to hear a joke? I whispered. Will the grief go away? No. You may proceed. I sat straight and finished my coffee. My head swam, but I mentally went over the 7 gods of VGO to make sure I told the joke right. So, a Sophetian, an Idiculian, and a Gaian all go to Morsheim. Thanatos assesses them and asks them what they believe, I said. The Sophetian speaks about the need for balance and a life of temperance and is permitted to be remade. The Idiculian speaks of ingenuity and improvement and boasts of all the various wonders he did in his life and what he hopes to accomplish in the next. They, too, are permitted to be remade. And the Gaian looks at Thanatos and says... I paused to make sure I had everyone's attention. Yvonne crossed her arms. I believe that you are in my seat, she finished for me. I frowned. Kismet laughed. Corvus patted my shoulder gently. That is an ecumenical nightmare, sister, they said. I nursed my second drink silently. Secretly, I wondered where my own NPC, Veronica, was. I'd handed her over to the Inquisition to save her from the plague and paid for her care out of my own pocket. If I hadn't, would I have joined the Darklings to save her? Last night, Kismet said she escaped. I wished she were with us. Even though Hector was a stuck-up theologian who genuinely believed Areste would bring salvation to Gaia's realm, I wished he were with us, too. You make a good point, though, said Yvonne, her tone softer. I what now? I said, not believing what I heard. They say the evil that men do lives after them, but the good is oft interred with their bones, said Yvonne. I wonder if the inverse is true, too. If you plant a seed, whether good or bad, maybe it grows in unexpected ways. Jericho often spoke of his seed money when he wanted donations, so I'm not keen to follow the analogy, I said. Corvus stared at the augur. You're not suggesting it's a good thing that Hector died, are you? No, nothing like that, she said gently. But he did save us, and he saved a lot of other people, too. We brought in Keon alive. Now we have information about the Darklings' efforts. He may never know the good he's done for the world, but we will. Everyone finished their meals in silence. Yvonne dropped her knife and pulled out her new card deck. Okay, but seriously, Liset, you need to deal with that orb, and for that, we're going to consult Gaia. I groaned. Fine. She shuffled the cards with a flourish. I picked 3. She held them out, floating over the table, as her glowing hands read the answers. The jailer representing confusion. You surrendered your power to someone else, but proclaim your innocence, that it wasn't your fault. But you are not powerless. You have options. I don't know, Yvonne. It still feels like a double bind, I said. Her hand hovered over the second card. Surthrog. My heart stopped. What was the Daemon Prince of Morsheim doing in my reading from Gaia? Hey, calm down, said Yvonne, reading my expression. This one isn't as bad as it looks. It adds to the first, that you were tricked into thinking you have no control over your negative impulses and that you can't break free of the metaphorical chains around your neck. But they're loose. You could take them off. She peered at the card, turning it around in the air with her magic. And, it also asks you to consider maybe if you like having a leash. But that's just one of the interpretations. Who would like that? I asked. I don't know. I don't judge or anything, but have you considered bondage? I took a deep drink to avoid responding. Kismet chuckled and draped an arm over the back of her chair. She did let me put the cuffs on her a few days ago, she said with a wink. I choked on my drink. The last card, please. Yvonne flipped it with a twirl of her hand. Gaia, representing relief. As long as you dwell in Gaia's realm, she will be with you. She has a plan for you, and it will work out in the end, even if it's not what you expected. Yvonne shuffled the cards back into her deck. Maybe this is part of it, like you got to ask yourself what makes you a priest, believing in Gaia or your powers. I didn't want to consider that. I wasn't sure on the difference yet. Before Yvonne could press me on it, I pushed my chair out. Anyway, let's get out of here. Who's paying? I thought you were paying, Yvonne said. Didn't you sell off the extra loot? I felt the blood drain from my face. There wasn't any extra loot, I said slowly. It was a PvP dungeon, not PvE. Yvonne stood. Don't tell me you don't have any money. You invited us to breakfast. Kismet stood as well. Did you spend all your money on liquor at that inn? I mean, maybe, I confessed. I told you that you drink too much, scolded Kismet. I went around the table and ran my hand along Kismet's shoulder armor. Inquisitor, you saved up quite a bit, didn't you? I said sweetly. She rolled her shoulder to evade my touch. I gave all my money to you. I had to give it to the temple as a tithe, I protested weakly. I thought you hated the temple, Corvus said. It's complicated, okay? I said, a bit too loudly. The temple is a damn glue trap, and I had to gnaw my own arm off to get free. I rubbed the scars under the bangles on my right wrist, where the plague had infected me, twice now, with the curse of Surthrog. Yvonne shushed me and looked around. Listen, they seem pretty busy. Let's just get out of here. Kismet clamped a hand on Yvonne's shoulder, her voice quiet. First off, I'm an inquisitor. If we're going to be the good guys, we must act like it. Secondly, we have a rare priestess, a plague doctor, you have a literal bird in your hair, and I have wings. She jutted her thumb over her shoulder as if to remind us, then lowered her voice to a whisper. We have everyone's attention right now. So, what are we going to do? I asked. Everyone slowly turned as one to look at me. Yes, raid leader. What are we going to do? Asked Yvonne. I hugged my arms to myself and thought. I have some levels in cooking. I'll talk to the chef. It'll be fine.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?